Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, wherever in the world you are dialing in from. It's a great pleasure to have the opportunity to speak about the intersection between humans and technology, and I will do that as a representative of RightShip, but hopefully also be able to touch on, and later on in our panel discussion, discuss robustly and vigorously how we can improve. Big thank you from the outset to MPA for continuously facilitating these International Safety at Sea weeks. They have incredible value to all of us across the supply chain, and I'm very excited to be part of it today. Allow me to just set the stage for those of you who are not aware what we do at RightShip, to spend a couple of slides explaining who we are and what we do. Our primary purpose that drives us is working towards a maritime industry that causes zero harm. And by zero harm, we mean zero harm from a safety point of view, where our primary product and orientation is towards vetting vessels, inspecting vessels, towards environmental sustainability, where again our primary product is built around insights into the sustainability of the vessels via GHG rating, where we have an A to G standard score, and then increasingly so our social responsibility executed via the focus we have on the well-being of seafarers. And I'll speak over all these three aspects, but primarily on the seafarer and safety today. Our history is rooted in a very negative series of events that took place in the late 80s and early 90s off the western coast of Australia. 6 primary bulk carriers went down, took about 100 seafarers down with them. So not exactly a happy beginning to a presentation, but safety is serious. 2 of our 3 shareholders, BHP and Rio Tinto, being significant charterers of tonnage, simply concluded at that point they didn't have the decision-making tools available to make proper chartering decisions, and established at that point RightShip at arm's length as a standalone company. 6 years into that journey, Cargill joined, and the 3 of them constitute now equal shareholders. They are also, as are well over 100 major charterers, part of our customer base, and obviously in that sense they keep us to the task, and hence have those 2 roles. Somewhat into that journey, we then in 2009 established the standard for GHG rating, where when a vessel is being released from a shipyard as a new build, we obtain all the relevant data about the design of that vessel and perform a GHG rating, and that is then hosted on our digital platform. And over the years, we have then grown into successive use of different platform tools, different digital platform tools, which on February 8th of this year resulted in the launch of the current safety score and platform that's available. So our foundation for existence is the accumulation of copious amounts of data about the vessels from a yard gives birth to the vessel, through the operation where we ingest AIS data, data from class societies, data from port state control, incident data reported directly from the vessel in operation, and many, many other aspects that then accumulates into a holistic overview of the safety of the vessel that we then apply in a score up to a maximum score of 5, which is obviously what the industry desires, that then provides transparency to the users. The products themselves, the platform hosts 57,000 vessels with all the data that an IHS and similar providers have available. We are 40,000 times a year asked by a prospective charterer to vet a vessel, where essentially we use the data that the platform consumes to provide an insight into the safety of that vessel relative to the journey that the charterer wishes to undertake. We go on board vessels about 2,500 times a year to validate the state of affairs via approximately 2-day inspections. The users of the platform itself, about 3.8 million times a year, go in and look at a specific asset to understand how that asset performs, and uses that as an early due diligence process. And we perform about 30,000 greenhouse gas ratings of vessels. Why are we here? Essentially because there is still a lot that doesn't work out there. And looking at the data we can accumulate, we are still in an industry that unfortunately registers well over 50 fatalities per year, and a significant number of seafarers that go missing. So although we have registered a reduction in the number of accidents and incidents on vessels and involving vessels, we still see an absolutely unacceptably high fatality rate. And obviously this is what we encourage the community we work in to come together around finding solutions to via the RightShip platform. Shifting focus a little bit to what also Senior Minister talked about, crew change. There's still a lot of work to do, and it's incredibly encouraging to register that, again, Singapore is setting the stage, being a front runner on vaccine. We look very much forward to hearing more about that. A lot can be done still, and I want to share with you a really negative incident that we registered on a vessel that was prior vetted by RightShip, was on its ballast voyage to start the voyage that we had vetted it for. Took place 3 weeks or so ago. And as part of the vetting process, we had identified that there were seafarers on board who had been there for a relatively long period of time and were close to coming up to the period where crew change would be required. The ship owner booked a crew change in the state of the nation that the vessel was going into call, and shortly before the vessel call, that state decided to protect its land-based citizens as a priority and disallow any level of crew change with a very short-term notice. The vessel owner decided to do an at-sea crew change with a crew boat, and unfortunately this particular seafarer fell in the water between the crew boat, was crushed and perished. So an example where one level of risk is introduced into the supply chain, which technically was unnecessary. The seafarer had been on board at that point for 10 months, was certified COVID-free, so certainly there wouldn't have been a risk in introducing him to do a crew change via land. And certainly an area that we need more debate about, how we satisfy both ministries of transport, ministries of health, and then the requirements of making crew change. We are of the belief that good use of technology that can validate the state of the seafarer, possibly also overlay that with mental health data to augment where that's required, that a crew change is relevant, is available to all of us to use today and can get us away from these types of situations. So essentially, the intersection that we see and that we work with in RightShip is around the areas of transparency of the safety of the vessel by using the data available to all of us to vet the vessel, going on board, augmenting the inspections that port state, class societies and others in the ecosystem perform to validate the physical safety of the vessel, to speak with the crew, very importantly, as a part of a validation that they are well and healthy. And largely the safety score that we then offer to the marketplace, that on one hand charterers can use to determine their chartering decisions on, and owners and operators and managers, very importantly, can use in what is obviously a beauty contest in many ways, if you like. When you wish to chart out your vessel, you have the possibility to aspire to have the highest possible safety score, and through that profile your ability to focus on safety. That transparency is available via all these data points that I mentioned. A new product that we will be launching soon and that I hope to have continued significant industry dialogue around is a product focusing on crew welfare. We have been working with the Sustainable Shipping Initiative in London and recently with 8 very good global ship managers and ship owners to structure what will be a code of conduct that both charterers and owners, managers can sign up to define what good care looks like for the crew, what good well-being that you should aspire to make available for the crew looks like, and then in a self-assessment assess the DOC holder's ability to meet those code of conduct requirements. We will host the outcome of that on the RightShip platform, so that next to the safety score, next to the GHG rating, there will be an ability for the DOC holder to see his own and portray his own standard when it comes to care for the crew. We're very, very grateful for all the good collaboration that has taken place so far with the industry, and look forward to building on that as we launch the product. We are also working hard together with Intercargo on finally getting what has been a long-drawn and very ambitious project of launching dry BMS, working somewhat on the same principles of a self-assessment that the crew well-being score intends to deliver, where down the verticals of performance, people, plant, and processes, a DOC holder has the possibility to self-assess and aspire to either be with a safety focus that is basic, intermediate, advanced, or excellent. And again, that is an honest self-assessment done by a DOC holder, where then various companies will have the possibility to offer a validation service of that self-assessment. As you can see on the slide here, some 13,000 downloads of the product has already taken place. And we hope to find a really good home for the dry BMS, where the intention is that Intercargo and RightShip, as IP holders of the standard, wishes to hand that standard over to an NGO that can then be the host and take it on from here. Again, look very much forward to seeing that finally getting into the market and supporting the industry. Quickly on areas of opportunity, it'll probably be more a summary than going into specifics on each of these 5 items. But the quest that we are on, and that we see many of our partners in the industry is on aggregating more data, aggregating better data, so that we can deploy that data into proper data science, use proper algorithms for which we need copious amounts of data to, for instance, drive more studies around the human element, moving the focus from an outcome of an event to a coaching of a seafarer at the point where a learning opportunity can be created and a negative outcome can be avoided by having the right competence in the right situation. We see that the use of technology, and we see that partnerships around the deployment of technology is absolutely essential in that journey. Excuse me. And to just close off with real technology, a quick little look at the possibility of deploying artificial intelligence and machine learning. Then on the platform that we are operating today, we are in the process of making much greater use of artificial learning to essentially flesh out the key points that the data has already shown about a specific voyage, or has already shown about a specific asset or has already shown about a specific DOC holder, so that all of that is available at the point when a vet is performed and can help the superintendent executing the vet to have all the data points to conclude from, hence reducing the time it takes to perform that validation and allowing the charterer to make quick decisions at a point where markets are warm and you would wish those decisions to be made. Lastly, we're also deploying machine learning onto the platform to essentially augment all the data insights that we make every day on the vessels, so that can help us in interpreting specific events that have taken place and play that back as learning opportunities to the industry. So if, for instance, we see that we have a higher prevalence of accidents related to people wearing belts instead of harnesses, then we use machine learning to tell us that and play it back to our users, our subscribers, with the aim to reduce incidents or accidents related to those. With those words, I thank you again for having the opportunity to talk about safety and to talk about the intersections between the use of safety and humans' safety on board vessels. Thank you.